Hello, welcome back, Cage Kipling or Logan Hubert. This is the KNL Sports Huddle episode number 75. It is Monday, August 10th, and this week we're finishing our college football preview with the Big Ten and Big 12 breakdowns. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're a small podcast, but we have a real passion for this stuff. You can also get us on Instagram at HuddleKL Sports for breaking news and clips from our episodes. Logan, good to see you again. Get us started.
Yep, as usual, we're starting in the golf world. So the Wyndham Championship was this past weekend, and Michael Brennan grabbed his second ever PGA Tour win, and he nabbed a spot in the FedEx Cup playoffs with this victory, which is suddenly here, or suddenly right around the corner. So, so I mean, I've never been hugely into the FedEx playoffs when compared to the majors. The majors and then the Ryder Cup every couple of years is where it's at. But I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. So if you're interested in competitive golf, I would encourage you to watch it because you have guys like lately we've got guys like Brennan and then who's the guy who won last week? Or what's his name? Thorpenson? Yeah. So guys like that who get hot late in the year, come playoff time, are suddenly competing, and we'll see if Tommy Fleetwood can, with all his first ever victory last year. But and also Jackson Coyven, who won the Rocket Mortgage a few weeks ago. He earned the final spot in the FedEx Cup playoffs, and he only started in 5 events this year. So the 21-year-old will be looking to do some damage very, very early in his career.
Never been big on the playoffs, but I mean, if they did something better with it, like rotated to different courses. I know they do the BMW at a different course every year, but the other two are always at TPC Southwind and East Lake. And so, I mean, those are good courses, but if they went to some they tried to do what the majors did with their playoffs, I think it'd be much more interesting to watch.
Yeah, you're probably right. I do like East Lake, though. It's kind of doesn't get appreciated enough because of the 4 major courses, but I do like watching East Lake. So, but yeah, so does it start this weekend, or is that, or what's this coming? What events this weekend?
The first one is the FedEx St. Jude, which would be at TPC Southwind. That's always the first leg. So
that's this weekend. Yeah, that's this weekend.
Yep. And so they'll take the 70 there, and then they'll dwindle it down to 50 for the BMW, and then 30 for the Tour Championship. So that'll be how that works this year.
I also saw that Jordan Spieth was the only person to qualify who did not have a single top 10 this year.
Somehow, some way, he always
he's always at an event.
He's always there. All right, let's move on to the Campus Corner. This week, obviously, coming off the heels of our SEC, ACC preview, we're keeping it with the big conferences, Big 10, Big 12, and obviously we'll start with the Big 10 here. So last year, just kind of the big picture for this conference, obviously the defending conference champion and national title winning Indiana Hoosiers. The teams that made the college football playoff last year are basically the big 3 that would be focusing on this year: Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon. And so if you're looking to see what team might win the national title this year, I would put my money on Oregon because if the Big Ten is going to keep its trend of a different Big Ten team winning the national title after Michigan in 23, Ohio State in 24, and IU last year, I would pay good money to say that Oregon is probably going to be the next one if the trend continues. Last year's bowl record, 11-5, including IU's incredible undefeated run, which they went through Alabama, Oregon, and Miami to win the national title. So that was quite the run they went on.
And so really 4 losses because IU, Oregon was a Big Ten battle. So.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously when we look at this season, it's the big 3, but the number of returning starting quarterbacks. Obviously, you're going to have Julian Sayin at Ohio State coming back for another year. Got high hopes for him as a Buckeyes fan. Dante Moore at Oregon, Jaden Mayava at USC, Damon Williams Jr. at Washington, Nico Iamaleava at UCLA. That's one to keep your eye on.
He's still there. Yeah.
He's still there. And then obviously Underwood would be a name to look at with Michigan. So Logan, what's kind of the thing you're looking forward to with this Big Ten conference this year?
Yeah, back to back national champions have come from this conference. So the trend shows we'll see another title from this conference again. And I mean, looking at the top three teams, you could see any of those three teams winning it. I feel like again this year. Ohio State, who I'm sure we'll dive into more, bringing the most key pieces back. I would say of the three, them and Oregon are definitely bringing back the most key pieces. And Ohio State was super dominant last year. Lost a close one to IU, then just had a bad game. I feel like against Miami. It was just a bad game. Sayin's 1 year older, so that's going to help. So problem with it, and we'll get to that later, is the other schedule is absolutely brutal this year. Oregon, I talked about this last year. I'm going to keep talking about it this year. I don't trust Dante Moore at all. Any big game I watched, he was just bad. He wasn't even competent. He just looked bad. The two games against IU, the Texas Tech, we'll talk more about, dive more into them when we talk about the Big 12, but that game was just putrid to the eyeballs for watching offense both sides. And, he just wasn't good. I don't trust him in big games. In the Iowa game, when they played Iowa, that was a defensive slugfest. So, but on paper, this team has every reason to be right there at the very end. So, but something about these Dan Lanning squads, very, very good. They just cannot crack that great tier every year. And I'm just going to believe that trend continues. And then, obviously, the defending national champions, IU, they're losing a lot, but they're also retaining some key guys. They're bringing in guys like Josh Hoover to take over at quarterback. And I'm going to stick with the same sentiment I did last year, except Josh Hoover's the key, because anyone can say about, they lost all these guys in the trenches and stuff. That doesn't matter. They're going to bring off some guy off the bench, and he's going to do the exact same thing. I mean, there's a reason that they've been signing these they're getting these fifth-year guys back who were they were dominant last year on IU. So why would no NFL team want them? It's just because I think this whole thing is just all Signetti's the greatest player development I've ever seen in my life, and I believe that's going to continue. That's why all the Omar Cooper's a big loss. All the defensive guys they lost, but they're gonna replace him, and I feel like they're going to be just as good. It's just I feel like how this team is. But I do think there was definitely something special with Mendoza. So that's it. For this team to win it all again, it's going to come down to Josh Hoover. If Hoover's okay, this will be a playoff team, I feel like, but it's not going to be a national championship team. If Hoover is good, then I could see IU easily winning it all.
So yeah, let's keep diving into IU since they are the defending title winners. They come in with a huge target on their backs after winning it all and being this team of destiny that IU's never done anything in football up to this point. And then Curt Cignetti comes in, brings his James Madison guys, and does the unthinkable, goes undefeated, and is very vocal in press conferences and about how good he is. Just look at his record. So with this massive target on their backs, they're going to be the hunted. But let's check the schedule out for them. What do they got coming up this year, Logan?
Well, they got North Texas, Howard, and I forget who else. Western Kentucky to open up the non-conference schedule, and then Northwestern and Rutgers, I believe, are the next couple. So 2 easy Big Ten games to start. But after that, I will say, I mean, there's no doubt they're going to start 5-0. After that, it gets a little trickier. At Nebraska is the next one. Obviously, on paper, IU is much better than Nebraska, but still, at Nebraska, when this is going to be your first difficult game of the year, we saw this last year at Iowa. That game could have gone any way. They got lucky. Not lucky, but I mean, that game was 13-13 with 2 minutes left. It looked like for sure it was going to be an overtime game, but then they had Surratt break loose one time, and they ended up scoring. But that was their first true road test of the year, and obviously if IU and Iowa would have played at the end of the year, IU would have kicked their teeth in. But so that's why that one is interesting. But what's right after October 10th at Nebraska? October 17th, home against Ohio State. So yeah, and then after that, very next week at the Big House at Michigan. So that is a tough 3-game schedule right there after a very cupcake first 5 games. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And that's not to mention they host USC and go at Washington, who is
That one's sneaky.
Washington's a sleeper team this year. Very sneaky, and going up to the Pacific Northwest late November. That could be interesting. So yeah, it's not going to be as much of a cakewalk as 2 years ago was. Last year, I think the schedule was harder than last year's, which was harder than the years before. But they do get Ohio State at home. That game, Memorial Stadium's going to be rocking, and that's going to be. I already have that game circled on my calendar. So, but yeah, like I said, it's all going to come down to the quarterback.
Yeah. That Washington game was one I was like, that's a little sneaky going to Washington. That's a long road trip for them to have to go to.
November 21st, so that's the second to last week of the year. Yeah, it's assuming Washington's good.
Even if they're not, that environment.
Look at Ohio State last year. Yeah, that was an ugly game, ugly victory for Ohio State
for sure.
Washington wasn't even that good last year. So.
No, and they're a bit of a mystery this season, so we don't really know what to make of them coming into 2026. So that could be a trap game as Indiana's season winds down. So how about Ohio State? What about my Buckeyes here? So they enter as the favorites right now to win the conference on most of the metrics, but the exciting part about this is that they do get their Heisman candidate quarterback, Julian Sayin, back, as well as the big man on campus, Jeremiah Smith, the wide receiver, who's favored as the preseason player of the year. Can they connect and be what they need to bring another championship to Ohio State? Let's take a look at their schedule now, Logan.
Oh well, yeah, it's not easy. Here's 4 of their road games at Texas. We talked about that last week. At IU, just talked about that. At USC, who you could argue is probably on paper the 4th best team in the conference, the best team outside of those top 3 we've already talked about. At Iowa, who's always there, and we saw IU last year. That game just came right down to the wire, and hosting Oregon. So and then Michigan at the end, but that game's always interesting. So yeah, this is why Ohio State's not my pick to win the conference this year, because I just don't see them winning all of those games. Will they make the playoffs? I'm feeling pretty confident they will, but that's just an absolutely brutal schedule.
Yeah, take a look at this schedule, SEC teams.
And not to mention, I forgot to mention the IU, USC, Oregon. That's 3 straight games. At IU, then they get a bye, but then at USC, and then hosting Oregon.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm hoping with this offense, Ryan Day's a good offensive mind here, but one of probably their biggest pickup in the transfer portal would have to be the safety Terry Moore. Had some gaps, obviously, in the secondary after Caleb Downs being gone. So now you pick him up, get him from Duke. He did tear his ACL last season, but he was one of the best defenders in the ACC in 24. And so I think having him in the backfield will help our our passing defense. So I am happy about that we were able to get that addition to the team. But I think with a lot of our guys coming back, I feel pretty good about the season. It's just the schedule is going to be tough. That's the hardest part. But I think with enough good wins, with so many good teams on the schedule, I see them being able to make the playoff once again. I just see Ohio State, my guys, being a staple in this playoff. How about Oregon? You know, they're the team that you say with their track record, it doesn't look good if history serves. But again, this is Dan Lanning. This is a well coached team that has picked up some big wins and within this conference. You know, they've beaten some of the best teams within this conference, and I think with the trends the way it's gone, Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana, I think they're next. Do you think it's their time right now? I know you don't feel strongly about them, but they seem like the next man up in this conference.
Dante Moore is just going to have to show me something against a good team before I believe they can take the next step. Looking at their schedule, their two hardest games are both on the road, and that would be at Ohio State and then at USC. But not as brutal as nowhere close to Ohio State, and right around Indiana's level of difficulty, I would say. So yeah, I mean, the path is there for them. I feel like, I mean, if it's not this year, I don't think it's ever going to. They're not. It's going to be hard to get a better chance than this. I feel like just the personnel they're bringing back, the experience they've had in the playoff. They've had good results. They've had bad results. They all kinds of success and failure so far in the Dan Lanning in the playoffs with wins and losses. So, I mean, this is it. I feel like, yeah, if they don't get it done this year, or at least make the semifinals or title game, then they'll just always be, like I said, good, not great, and hard to take seriously come December and January.
What's a team either in the professional game or even another sport that you would compare Oregon to? Just like a really great regular season team that just never shows up in the playoffs.
The Ravens of late under Lamar Jackson.
Okay, I like that.
Not too much. Fantastic regular season performer usually, but come playoff time, they've just struggled to crack through. They've made just one conference championship and blew it because they had home field advantage. And Lamar did not play great that game. So yeah, there's probably might be better examples, but that's just the first one that came to mind.
For sure. How about the coaching? So we got a couple of major coaching changes within this conference. So at Michigan and at Penn State, I want to start with Penn State, though, with the exit of James Franklin heading to the ACC to Virginia Tech. They picked up Matt Campbell from Iowa State, bringing a familiar staff that features 9 former Nittany Lion players. So he's got the crew, but they also went out and got a QB for the future and for now, I guess. Rocco Beck from Iowa State, which is pretty cool. I think this is a pretty good pickup. I think this could be better than maybe what we've seen in past years from like Drew Aller and the guys that they've had recently. So do you see them as maybe the 4th team in this conference that they've kind of just been grouped in for the past few years under Franklin anyway? Or are they able to surprise some people this year?
They brought a lot of Cyclones over, I will say that, from a good team. I think on paper USC is better than Penn State, but they're right around the same way. But Penn State has by far, in my opinion, the easiest conference schedule. They avoid Ohio State, Oregon, and IU. And they've got a big. Speaking of USC, that could be the biggest game of the early slate. Could be the best early game in the Big Ten. USC at Penn State on
Mm-hmm.
October 10th. You could almost call that an elimination game because after that, I think Penn State does have to go to Washington. But other than that, it's not very light Big Ten schedule for them. So if they can beat USC at Happy Valley October 10th, then I think they have a path. I think they have a path to the championship. Big Ten. Yeah, they're still doing the conference championship, aren't they? That was
Yeah.
I forgot. Yeah, there's so much talk about it ending it and not ending it. I forgot if that even happened. but yeah, kind of. But yeah, they have a path to the title, Big Ten title game because of their schedule. And yeah, I would say they're the fourth or fifth best team in the Big Ten. Nowhere near the top three teams, but given their schedule, they could be playing for a Big Ten championship.
And then the other coaching change after the weird scandal that went on with the Michigan coach who was let
Yeah,
go.
he had some, we'll just say, issues.
The job now goes to Kyle Whittingham. He's bringing a pretty respected Power 4 track record, and he's going to have alongside offensive coordinator Jason Beck with him there at Michigan. How do you think this team kind of bounces back from all the issues with both the dragging on of the cheating scandals of Connor Stallions and all that stuff that now ballooned into what happened with their coach last year? Can anything happen for this team for 2026?
I will say, since Whittingham's taken over, the storylines of just the current Michigan football team have been relatively quiet, which I think is kind of what I expected, and that's good. I mean, the scandals and all that's still very much in the news at Michigan, but I mean, Underwood's got to take a freshman to sophomore leap because what I saw last year, I was not impressed at all for how highly touted he was coming out of high school. So, and I mean, if he was so highly touted, then he has the skill to be very good. We'll just a lot of pressure on you as a freshman, especially coming to Michigan. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see if he can take that next year leap because if he can't, then this is a middle of the pack Big Ten team. I'm not gonna say they're bad; they're only bad, but in middle of the pack, make 7-5, make a bowl game, that kind. But if Underwood takes a leap, then I mean, they'll have their chances against IU and Ohio State this year. So you can see them picking off one of those teams.
Yeah, that there'll be a 7-5 team that still gives Ohio State a hell of a game in the final week of the season. How about the hot seat? So some of the coaches facing immediate pressure to produce results as the 2026 season kicks off. I would put guys like Luke Fickell at Wisconsin, who currently holds a 17-21 record.
Somehow he still has a job. I mean, it's
Matt Rule at Nebraska is 19-19 with the Cornhuskers. I assume they still have Patrick Mahomes light, right?
no, isn't he at Oregon now?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Raiola,
That's
he's
right.
gone. Yeah.
He's gone.
Um,
Uh,
Now, granted, under Rule, if you look at his previous tenures, turning programs around like Baylor, it took a couple of years, but like once he did turn it around, he turned it around. And where they were, they've shown it. Like they've had winning records the past 2 years with Matt Rule, so that is better than it had been. Um, but yeah, there's definitely pressure to maybe get closer to that 9-3, 8-4 kind of Nebraska. If not, then yes, he should probably be his seat should be scorching hot. But yeah, I mean Fickle, I don't know how he still has a job. I thought he'd have more success because he went Cincinnati to the 4-team playoffs. So I thought so. Yeah, but somehow he still has a job. And yeah, other than that, I mean, I don't know, would USC get rid of Lincoln Riley if they
See, that's
underperform?
that's the name. How much pressure is he on? What's like the what level of success does he have to reach this season? What's the record? What's the finish? Because like I'm just not sure.
I would say fourth overall. They have to be at worst the the fourth best team, like the best team behind the Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana. But I believe they play all three of those teams this year. If they go 0-3 against those three teams, then the seat might be hot, even if they do finish like 8-4. But yeah, I mean, I think he has pressure, but I don't know if they'd fire him because of his name. So.
Yeah, his ability to develop quarterbacks. One last name, I'd say Mike Locksley at Maryland. He's 39-44, but the
He's another
deck is
guy that
stacked against him.
somehow still has a job. I mean, of course, that Maryland job is not an easy job to begin with. So, but yeah, East Coast Big Ten team, just a tough one. Other coaching names, don't forget Michigan State now has Pat Fitzgerald, the former Northwestern coach, who kind of went out oddly in his Northwestern tenure. As for my Boilermakers, there's pressure to do something than what I mean, for what it's worth, yeah, they did not win a Big Ten game last year, but they were in several games. Like they took Michigan right down to the wire at the Big House. They had a few wins. They had a few losses that they snatched out of the jaws of victory. So, which if you watched the year before, they lost every game by 40. So, and Barry Odom turned a UNLV team around. So I think, but if he doesn't turn anything around with Purdue's new athletic director, he could also be a name that could be on the out this early if they don't turn anything around.
Well, did you hear the comments by the new AD?
Okay, so I'm going to give my take on that now. When I first heard it, I thought, "What the hell are you doing?" But then, all the ESPN is still talking about it. I think it was a genius move. They're talking about Purdue in the offseason. They're like, I saw a segment today. ESPN is still talking about it. And the other thing is, there's also truth to it. I mean, since he's taken over, IU has won 0 championships. So
there you go.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So
I just thought it was funny after they just won a title.
Yeah, and I thought that's why I thought it was funny and stupid. But then I was like, yeah, well, technically, yes. In his few days he's been there, IU has won 0 championships. So
any lasting thoughts on the Big Ten before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, just always a fun conference to watch. I mean, just talked about other coaches that just make it fun to watch, like Kirk Ferentz at Iowa. Just always a hard out. PJ Fleck at Minnesota, just a character, and I feel like those two guys are just safe where they're at, even though they've done the exact same thing for several years, and their job security is
the
so
Mike
safe.
Tomlins of the college.
They are
game.
Mike Tomlins, especially Kirk Ferentz, and they're even wear Steelers like uniforms. So, and then Blenheim at Illinois, that's a team that everyone's really talking about. They were pretty good last year. He turned that team around. They were in the gutter for several years. So, yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's probably because I live around here, but I just find the Big Ten football to be much more exciting. And I'm in I don't know if it's still a minority, but the West Coast editions, I think it adds a fun layer to it.
I think so. I would agree with that. I think if you take those teams out, like it's Ohio State and IU. You might as well put them in those divisions that we used to have where it was so lopsided.
Yeah, basketball I'm still not a big fan of, but I think football it works.
Yeah, Mick Cronin isn't a fan of it either. So
yeah. Oh, he isn't. He's never told us that he's never.
All right. Let's move on to the Big 12. We won't spend as much time with this conference, kind of like we did with the SEC, ACC last week, but defending conference champion Texas Tech Red Raiders. They were the only team out of this conference to make it to the college football playoff, end up losing 23 to zilch versus Oregon in the Orange Bowl. Last
That game.
That was tough. That was a tough
A
watch.
snooze fest.
Tough
Yeah.
watch.
If you like defenses, though, it was incredible because that score is kind of misleading because Texas Tech's defense was just exhausted by the end of the game because I mean it was a low scoring game the entire game until they just couldn't hold on.
Yeah. Bowl record for the Big 12 last season, 4-4, included a win by BYU over Georgia Tech in the best bowl game there is, the Pop-Tarts Bowl. This year, national title contenders, it's looking like a two-horse race between Texas Tech and BYU. They lead a lot of the metrics as far as primary conference favorites in college football playoff inclusion heading into this season. While the national championship tiers heavily favor traditional SEC Big Ten powerhouses, the top Big 12 programs are well positioned to crash the expanded 12-team playoff. And I like teams like Texas Tech and BYU if they can get more than one team in. So that'd probably be my biggest question for the Big 12 is can they get more than one in?
Yeah, and Texas Tech, BYU, Utah, maybe Kansas State are your four best bets to make the playoffs. Texas Tech is the clear favorite and should be the clear favorite because they're the defending champions. And the Sorsby drama's over. We can just forget about that. Brendan Sorsby's going to be okay. But their schedule, they avoid BYU, Utah, and Kansas State. They get maybe the next two toughest teams, Arizona, TCU, and Houston, all at home. And they're non-conference, two nobodies, and at Oregon State. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like a silver platter has been laid out for Texas Tech again to reach the playoffs. But, I mean, they lost a few great players on defense, but they're also bringing a lot of great players back on defense, and that defense was absolutely stacked last year.
Well, yeah, the Big 12, they did some work in the portal this offseason. So they dominated the 2026 transfer cycle, landing 6 of the top 11 national transfer portal classes. The major headline of that featuring Oklahoma State signing a massive 55-player haul. Texas Tech obviously securing high-priced quarterback Brendan Sorsby and that drama that ensued. But like you said, that's over now. And just a lot of roster flipping across this conference. But Oklahoma State's was the crazy one under new head coach Eric Morris. They brought in that national high 55 transfers, heavily rating his former program, North Texas, to bring stars like quarterback Drew Mestamaker and running back Caleb Hawkins to Stillwater. So what do you think about all the transfers that have come into this conference? Do you think that like just shakes things up big time? It could make it a little bit more wide open. Maybe some early contenders that we could fit a couple of good teams into the playoff here.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes it more unpredictable. Which
And it's always the most unpredictable
for a conference like this. Yeah, I mean, where no team's really a national title contender. Just kind of a couple teams vying for playoff spots. Yeah, that makes it more fun and more chaotic. So, yeah, Oklahoma State. That's going to be really fun to watch because they were in the what was his name? Dang it, their coach said for such a long time. Why am I blanking on?
I'm a man.
Yeah.
I'm 40.
Yeah.
Gundy.
Yeah, Mike Gundy. Yeah, he was there for a long time. So it's a brand new era in Oklahoma at Oklahoma State. So, yeah, and I mean we've seen look at IU, look at Colorado a couple of years ago. We've seen teams just bring in a whole bunch of guys and do a lot of damage. So, Can't rule that out, but really overall, looking at this conference, Kansas State, like I mentioned, is pretty good, but they also avoid Texas Tech, BYU, Utah. Like the scheduling really just doesn't do this conference any favors. So really, the only game I have circled is obviously the Holy War, BYU at Utah, which is November 7th, because these are two teams that will definitely be vying for a playoff spot, especially that late in November. So that'll be must-watch TV. But BYU does have the work cut out for them because then a few weeks before that, they're at Notre Dame, a game they don't have to play, but they're playing it. So, but imagine if they pull that off, then
that's huge.
I mean, that's huge. And I mean, they were a team that was left out last year. You could argue was left out of the playoff last year.
Well, and there's still Houston. They're a bit of a quiet threat. You know, they had a 10-win season last year under Coach Willie Fritz. Connor Wegman returns. He's a pretty consistent quarterback. So yeah, they could be in the New Year's or playoff mix. You know, so definitely keep your eye on Houston in that conference. BYU quarterback Bear Bachmeier. So that's a name to look out for. They also have a really tough defense anchoring that squad. Last little addition that the portal gave for the Big 12 team and the Baylor Bears. They secured Florida transfer QB DJ Lagway. What do you think of that pickup?
Well, I had to get somebody. So I mean, that's another guy who's on the hot seat. I would imagine. What's his name? I picture what he looks like. And what's wrong with these Big 12 coaches? I can't remember their names, but I know exactly what they look like. Miranda, or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, I should know this, but yeah, I mean he's had success at Baylor, but lately, I mean, last couple of years, it's not been great. So they need something this year, and I don't know if the great Florida Gator legend DJ Lagway can lift them up to to a new level, but we shall see. What about Dion? Can he bring it back? Can he salvage what once was?
Briefly? You know, I think they're going to be kind of what they've been. They'll put up some tough fights within this conference, but I think as the season goes on, you'll see a little glimmer of hope, and then they'll drop an awful game that they shouldn't drop. I also think Dion's a little too focused on his son right now at the NFL. So I don't know. I really think they could be better if he just, really took the time. And I don't know if he's all the way focused on this on his team anymore.
This could be his last year. Like he might just want out after this year, just done with it. So
that first season was the peak of.
Well, yeah, peak and press. Their second season was the best team they had. But in terms of press, that first season was ridiculous. But when they beat TCU in that shootout in the opener, and you're like, oh, I mean, this is the TCU that was just in the title game, and then Colorado finished 4-8. TCU, I mean, they had a winning record, so it was just an overblown week one reaction. But yeah, TCU's another team. It's always there, just always around. There's just so many of those Baylor, TCU, Oklahoma State. Just I will say though, a team that's Matt Campbell. We talk about Matt Campbell leaving. Iowa State's going to need some rebuilding, which is unfortunate because they were a fun team to watch for several years, but it might take a couple of years to get that.
All right, who comes out of the Big 10? Who comes out of the Big 12 as conference champions? We'll just keep it there.
Yeah, I'm going to go Indiana for Big 10. I don't think they're going to run the table. I think they'll drop one of the Ohio State-Michigan games. But I think they'll win it. And then Texas Tech, I alluded to earlier, I think their schedule I think it's the best team, the defending team coming back, and the schedule is just laid out for them perfectly. So I love Texas Tech to win the Big.
I agree with Texas Tech. I think they're the clear top dogs in this conference. And then with the Big 10, With my heart, I say Ohio State. With my head, I'll say IU because the thing about Big Ten compared to the Big 12 is that not a lot of teams get to avoid the other top teams in this conference in the Big Ten. So there's going to be a lot of losses up for grabs, is what I would say, for a lot of these top teams in the Big Ten. So, yeah, I think IU under Signetti, I mean, he's just been phenomenal.
Until proven otherwise.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
once they do start getting a couple losses, then that's when the doubts will creep back and think, "Oh, this is Indiana."
Yeah.
But as for now, I'd just be foolish to doubt them. So, like I said, it's the greatest. It is the greatest player development I have ever seen in my life,
sure.
and just an underrated storyline that not getting enough attention. I mean, they were able to keep their defensive coordinator, who, like, I don't know how that guy wasn't getting head coaching interviews lined up the door, but they signed him to a massive contract. I mean, just because that was just one of the greatest defenses in terms of the players they had. Not a bunch of 5-stars in terms of the players they had. That front seven was just one of the greatest things I've ever watched on my television. Any third and short or fourth or short, I just knew it was over. It was over for the other offense, and everyone knew it except the opposing coach. In the end, a bunch of 1-star, 2-star guys beating these 5-star offensive linemen around to get to the quarterback, get to the backfield. And yeah, they were able to retain him. So, I mean, that's as long as they have both Signetti and their defensive staff back, it'd be foolish to doubt them.
Yeah. Like you said, until proven otherwise, this is the team to beat. So, that's it for that. Logan, do you have a final word, or did we go over it with the Purdue stuff?
No, I actually didn't really want to talk about that just because it was kind of embarrassing. But no, I will briefly address this whole WNBA trans issue that's happening right now. So apparently they're meeting later in the week to officially discuss and hopefully put an end to this silliness. After Sophie Cunningham came out and said what she said, and some of the coaches are taking the opposite stance, being pro-trans, and Sophie was really like anti, keep them out of girl sports. And then we've had Inez Cantor and Royce White declare for the WNBA draft, which I don't want to talk about this too much. This is just my final thing is that I'm assuming they're not going to let that happen. But if it would, if a WNBA team drafted Inez Cantor, it would. I almost think the viewership of that first game would be close to the Super Bowl, and I don't think it'd
be wild. And that's Inez Freedom to you, Logan.
Oh yeah, Inez Freedom Cantor. Yeah, I forgot. Freddie changed his name, but yeah. So in terms of getting eyes on the WNBA, no. Would it be bad for the league? Yes, but for a short-term viewership issue, oh yeah. I mean, like I said, it'd be the most watched sporting event of the year potentially.
Yeah. That's. Don't want to get too deep into that discussion because it's.
I just thought it'd be funny.
Yeah.
I just thought that part that was the first thing that came to mind whenever I just the whole political thing just out the window. Just how funny it would be.
Yep. I agree. That would be pretty funny. The viewership would be crazy. But that's the show. This has been the K&L Sports Huddle for Logan Hubert. I'm KH Kiplinger. May your bets hit, your team not choke, and your stress levels stay manageable. We'll huddle up again next week.